A lot of business owners I speak to are trying to figure out how they can deploy AI in their business, and they feel like they're being left behind. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can take advantage of tools like ChatGPT's new ChatGPT Work application to 10x your productivity. If we haven't met already, my name is Samir Tsinyani. I am a small business consultant. I help business owners find ways to deploy AI in their business and also grow leads and just be smarter. In today's era, trying to grow leads and reduce the expenses is what every local business owner is doing today. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what you can do to get started. I'll give you some tips along the way and explain it in a really beginner-friendly manner, so that way you can find a way to accelerate your business growth while also reducing costs at the same time. So let's jump right in. If you're not already familiar with Codex is really ChatGPT's latest version of their work application, which I know that sounds a little confusing, but what they've recently had done was they combined Codex, which is a developer-focused tool, with ChatGPT. Very familiar with ChatGPT. It's really meant to be a worker, an assistant that can help you get things done in your business. So depending on if you want to write emails or invites, but I think it goes much more beyond that. And I think what a lot of people are missing today is that these tools nowadays are becoming just as efficient and capable in doing things that were once thought to be really difficult or would require someone manually to get involved. So ChatGPT has now merged into Codex, which makes it also for developers, but even what's more important, gives you the same capability to leverage tools and functionality that would be applicable to most technology people, but in a really user-friendly way. And this is why it gets so powerful. So don't worry too much about all the aesthetics here. The point is ChatGPT is now transitioning from a chat-based application into one that actually do work for you. Essentially, it acts as like a side assistant as an employee, essentially. So this is exactly where you can go get more information about it. I'm not going to spend too much time on exactly how to download it, but just click on the download. Depending on if you're on Windows or Mac, they have something for everybody. And it doesn't cost a lot either to do this. They do have a number of free plans. I'm on the Max plan here, but obviously you can start with free and kind of get a hang of it. But once you do that and you have kind of familiarized yourself with how it works, let me just walk you through exactly what this does. What's really important is that you can do anything from creating PowerPoints to writing your own workflows. You can have it check your emails. You can run scheduled automations. There's a lot of different things you can do here. You can also even integrate with a lot of plugins, which I'll talk to you about in just a second. But this is really starts to get into beyond just the typical coding experience. They've now turned this into a full AI assistant for the average person. And you can see that they have a number of different categories here: sales, marketing, finance, business operations, analytics, engineering. There's something for everyone in here. And what's really powerful about this is that it already works with the tools you use, like PowerPoint or slides or Excel or Sheets, for example, your email. So it's really, really powerful way to get started. What I'm going to do is now show you exactly how the application works, so that way you have an idea of how to use it. Let me just dive right into that. Another thing to focus on is scheduled automations. And scheduled automations are basically things that you can run on a routine schedule. So basically you can have it like check your emails and then like auto clean up emails, or you can have it do things like clean up your downloads folder on a recurring basis. So scheduled tasks are really things to run on a schedule, really, and you can do that even from your phone, or you can do it directly in the app itself. To get started with that, you want to click on Create here on the bottom top right hand side, and you're going to see where it says like it's going to have this pre-built prompt, so that way it can interview you and ask you questions around the actual task that you want to return on a schedule, and it can interview you and then make sure that it obviously goes according to your guidelines on what you want it to do. So that's another really powerful feature, and I use this a lot because if there's things that I'm doing recurrently in my business, like checking emails, or I want to clean up a downloads folder, or anything like that. I mean, obviously what I have here is all related to things that I need to focus on for the day. What it can do is you can connect it to plugins like we were talking about before, and have those scheduled automations run to go fetch information from the plugin and give you a brief for the day, so you know where to focus your time. And the reason why this is so powerful is because if you've got a couple different client prospects and you have meeting invites, or you have like emails that you need to get to, but you're like all over the place, this really gives you a sanity check to say, okay, like what are the things I need to focus on today? and it's going to ground it in your actual emails or calendar, so that way you can focus your time accordingly for the day. So that's a really powerful way on how you can do that, on how to use scheduled automations. Another thing to keep in mind is that ChatGPT has this thing called sites, and it's something that's underrated. Not a lot of people talk about this, but sites is really just a way you can build a website, a landing page, even for that matter, and deploy it. And deploy basically just means like make it go live directly from this application view, from the app itself. And so something that I started to like do is create like set websites for some of my customers, and I just click one button and it goes live directly. And it's really powerful because then what you can do is like you can create services, you can create different landing pages. And this was all from like 1 or 2 prompts. I said, hey, I want to create a pressure washing company on behalf of my customer, and they need a landing page. And I was able to just kind of talk through it and then be able to have see the visual view here itself and be able to offer like feedback on tweaking things. But I was able to make the site go live directly from this view. So sites is something that's really, really underrated. And this is ChatGPT's way of kind of bringing everything into one ecosystem, which I think is really, really powerful. As we work our way down the list here, you're going to see that there's a couple different sections. Now, what I did was I did use this toggle here, which is called Activity View, which as of the time of this recording is really focused on your active conversations or things that are actively working today. If you untoggle that, you're going to see that there's ways to have projects. There's ways to have like different conversations. So depending on if you use the ChatGPT app on your phone, those same conversations are going to be present here on the left-hand side. And you can obviously toggle, hide them. You have different projects. So like these are different folders on your desktop or your downloads folder, for example. And these are different projects you're doing basically. So for me, I have a couple different coding projects I'm doing. I have websites for customers. I have my own website I'm trying to build at the same time, which I'm a little behind on, to be honest. But the idea is that you have different projects and these are folders, so that way you can make sure all the assets, all the things that you want to do are organized on a project level or on a folder level. So this is a way that you can keep things organized. And obviously within that you can have different conversations. Like right now in this one I have no conversations, but if I click further in, you're going to see that I have multiple conversations depending on which project I'm working on at the time. And you can obviously create a new project by clicking on the plus button. You can set up the project to work in the cloud, which is basically ChatGPT's cloud, or run it only locally on your computer. The difference really is just, if you have enough bandwidth on your computer, you can do that local, but you can also like talk through ideas on the cloud, which we're not going to go through here. It's a little more technical. That's another powerful way to create some projects. Lastly, another underrated feature of ChatGPT Work is this voice feature. Now, this is probably the most favorite feature of all of the app, which is the ability to have a voice conversation. And what I do personally is I don't even type anymore for the most part. I'm either using this mic and I'm using a tool called WhisperFlow to speak on what I want to do. And then if I want to do things just in the app, or if I want to kind of ideate or brainstorm certain ideas I have, I can click on start a voice chat here. This gets really, really powerful. Hey, Spruce, how you doing?
Doing good, thanks. What's on your mind?
So I'm recording a demo video for YouTube right now, and I'm showing people what ChatGPT's voice command is doing. Can you show me something cool so that way we can show our viewers how powerful voice is?
Yeah, let's do something fun. One sec. All right. Just checking a quick demo idea. Okay. I put a visual in the timeline that shows how a natural voice request, like turn this rough idea into a launch plan, becomes a concrete plan, research, and a draft you can approve. You say the goal in plain language, it helps shape the work, and you keep control with a clear approval step.
So I hope you guys heard that. So basically what happens is that Spruce is just a personality. You can obviously define that. That's all in the settings. But what Spruce is doing is he's showing me a demo of how I can speak naturally to the app itself. I can use a microphone, or I can just talk to my computer, or I can even use like my AirPods if I wanted to be able to kind of like just talk to my computer if I want to ideate, as opposed to like typing everything. Like this is super, super slow for me. So what I like to do is if I have ideas in my head, I want to just get them out, because it's proven that speaking is going to be up to 4 times faster than typing. And so I like to just kind of vibe. I like to just talk and kind of get things out of my head. And what ChatGPT and the AI tools do is really just helps me organize everything in one shot. So it's a really, really powerful feature. Definitely take advantage of that if you haven't already.
shape it into clean steps or draft, and you decide the next move. That loop is where the speed shows up.
All right, thanks, Bruce.
Happy to help.
All right, let's go ahead and shut them off right now. All right, so that's mainly it for the workflow, the different tools like sites, scheduled plugins. If you want to get started with ChatGPT, what you'll want to do is go to the new chat interface up here, which shows you exactly how you can start a new thread. And then depending on what you want to start off with, you can either add files or work on a specific project. This dropdown will help you kind of narrow your focus depending on what exactly you want to do. So let's just use a very simple example. What we can do is create a presentation. I'm going to create a presentation, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use Whisperflow, which is a tool that I use on my desktop, to be able to kind of ideate on what I want this presentation to look like. So for me specifically, I have a hotkey on my keyboard set up, and that hotkey allows me to press a button, and then everything I speak into this voice, this microphone, is going to be presented as text here on the app. So I want to create a presentation around how people can get started with ChatGPT Work. I want you to use the presentations tool and make it really beginner friendly for someone who hasn't used ChatGPT before and someone who's unfamiliar on how all the integrations work around voice, sites, scheduled automations, plugins. I really want to show them the power of this tool. Can you put together a presentation that help articulate it? And that's it. So like when I hit the button, it's going to take everything I said, structure it, cleans it up, and puts it into the prompt. I'm going to go ahead and fire off that prompt. Now, we were talking about before is we want to kind of tune our intelligence levels. GPT-5.6 Soul is ChatGPT's newest model. It's the most intelligent model. And what I would do is like propose that you guys start to play around with this one, so that way you can get a little more of an idea of how these intelligence models work. This one, for some reason, is not letting me run it, but instant just is fine as well. That just helps you kind of like get a feel for the different model modes and like how fast or slow it can run. So go ahead and fire off that prompt, and you're going to see here what it's going to do is it's going to start to create the outline of the presentation. Obviously, like I started in chat mode, which means that work mode, if it's going to use a presentation, needs to work in work mode. So click on continue with work. You're going to see how that's going to come up, and it's going to start to like ideate and brainstorm on the specific ask that I gave it. So you can see it's going to start to run through. It's going to like look at a plan. It's going to put together like diagrams and speaker notes. And obviously you can see here that when I was trying to toggle Soul before, it wouldn't let me do that. But right now I have it on the Luna model, which as of yesterday, OpenAI, the company that runs ChatGPT, ended up slashing their prices by 80+% on this. So I'm doing a little bit of testing here today. There's obviously other dials as well, like speed. You can make this run really fast, 1.5 times as fast as it normally does. It saves you some time as well. You can do effort levels, which basically just means you want it to give a lot of effort or low effort. I have this on max on Luna. Luna is probably like their workhorse of a model, so that's why I have it here. But obviously you're going to see here that it's going to go off and do the research to be able to get the information it needs so that we can put together this presentation. So let's just let that run for a little bit. And by the way, like while this is all running, like I typically don't sit here and wait for this. What I will do is be able to toggle between my different projects I'm running it to here on the left-hand side. So you can see here, like while it's doing all the planning and everything, I go off and give it another prompt. So that way, like in my head, if I have ideas in my head that are coming to my mind, I'm going to let this go off and do what it needs to do, given that I've given it the prompt. But then I'm going to go back and check on my other sessions as well. So that way, if they're stuck anywhere, you're going to see that there's these little like blue buttons here on the left-hand side that says it's waiting for your input. It needs some sort of feedback from you or approval from you in order to continue on. So let's go ahead and click on my other work items here. This is a different thread that I've been running with. I got some content planning work as well. Another really cool thing while the other session is running is that you can also open up terminal sessions. If you click on the top right hand side, there is a way to like open up like different like terminal sessions. So you're gonna see here I have toggle bottom, toggle side pane. You can open up things in a way that can like split screen things out. So that way while one thread's working, you can like move over to the right hand side or even at the bottom as well to do a couple things at the same time, or you can split 3 ways actually. So this is really cool because then you're not like just waiting for one session. You can like fire off and do different things at the same time. So this has really, really helped me improve my productivity because I can just do a lot all at the same time and like parallelize things as well. Okay, you're gonna see here that the prior presentation that we asked ChatGPT to do is come back. So, so far it's understanding the brief presentation. Basically it says, okay, the overall goal is someone thinking, let's rebuild. Yes, that sounds good. Let's go ahead and let it go off and create the presentation. Oh, it looks like it already did. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on here. So while the threads are running in the background, I'm going to show you just exactly how to start to think about this in terms of like a mental model. I think this is really powerful on how you can start to figure out what kind of work you can give it. What is the framework you want to operate within? So step one really is, what result do I need? So if you're a business owner and you're trying to figure out, hey, I need to create content for social media. I need to get back to my clients with a proposal, for example, or I need to do things like billing or my bookkeeping. Like, you want to start off with understanding what job do I need to get done today or in general. So step one is really just understand the job and the outcome you're looking for. Step two is like, what are the different pieces of context you want to provide? Now, if you have data, if you have files, you have notes, you have a website you want to give, that's the context. So when people say context, it's really just focused on what data point or file or business or whatever, like how can you tell the AI, because AI by nature is non-deterministic, which basically just means it's going to go off and like make assumptions unless you ground it and say, well, no, my name is X. I run a Y business. So for me, I'm Samir. I run a consulting business. I help small business owners do this. My project is SAM method, whatever. And the way I like to create my artifacts like this needs to be grounded in my brand configuration, my colors, my logo, etc. So give it the sources of the information so that way it knows what its role is. That's the most important. I think a lot of people miss this point because they think AI is just going to be able to kind of guess what they want it to do. But the more information, the more context you give it in stage 2, gives you a much better result. So that's the second thing to keep in mind. And obviously step 3 is Codex does the work, or ChatGPT does the work, depending on what your model is, whether it's Claude or Codex, doesn't matter. It can go off and do it. So once you define the outcome you're looking for and you give it the files, let it go off and do the work. And then you can move on to the next item. Stage 4 is where you want to start to evaluate the results. So specifically, if you're doing like social media content, for example, or you're creating a presentation, perfect example of what we're doing today, you want to look at the work it did. And if you have feedback, you can iterate by either speaking to it like we saw in this video, or typing and being able to annotate and say, hey, change this, but remove that topic or add this topic. And the more feedback you give it, the better it's going to be, because then it'll start to understand your preferences. In the background, what's happening is there's these memory files that ChatGPT is saving. So that way, as you give it feedback, the more you work with it, it starts to understand your preferences. And that's really powerful with these AI tools because it knows who you are, it knows what's important to you, and it's saving all that in the background. And finally, stage 5 is once you review the result, you can publish it. So we saw earlier, like with websites, you can just publish it and make it go live. If you have a presentation, you can download the presentation. If you're sending an email, you can grant authorization for it to send the email on your behalf. So stage 5 is really where you approve based on the feedback you give it. Once you're satisfied, you can approve that change. And really the idea is that this starts to shift into a model where we can start to delegate work to ChatGPT in a way that can execute work on our behalf. And we as business owners can really just focus on the outcome that we want to achieve. Better customers, better marketing, better financial management or bookkeeping or any of the operational tasks that we need to do in our business. This is the way to think about it. Another really cool feature is that you can, let's go back into exactly our agent here that was working on our presentation. Now for here, like while it's taking so long, it's been taking about at least like 15, 20 minutes now, which I want it to hurry up and create a quick outline. What you can do is you can actually like prompt it to say, hurry up and create a quick outline or whatever. And what that's going to do is it's actually going to steer the conversation. So if you're reading the thread and you realize it's going off track, it's not doing what you want it to do, you can easily direct it so that way it can create the outline for you for your review. And you can see here that it immediately stopped what it was doing. it reshifted its focus, and it's now going to create the outline for me to approve. So that way I can make sure that before it creates the presentation, it achieves the goal that I want. So obviously you can see here that it created a beginner's outline. It gives us a welcome. What is ChatGPT Work? How does chat differ from work? What is the basic work loop? And if this looks good to me, I can just basically say, okay, go ahead and create the presentation now, or I can give the feedback. And again, you can use voice, which is the toggle here on the bottom right-hand side. You can click on that, and you can dictate to it too. So while I'm speaking, you're gonna see that there's this voice bar down here that's gonna take what I say and enunciate it or turn it into words, and I can go ahead and transcribe and send that. Or I can type it obviously as well, which is probably gonna be a little bit slower. So that's the way you wanna think about this. You want to make sure that you are able to delegate work to ChatGPT. Definitely take advantage of these tools. I'm telling you, a lot of the people I speak to nowadays are definitely way behind the curve. And if you're watching this video, you're definitely one of the first early adopters of this utility. There's a lot of people I speak to that are still running very, very behind, but congratulations on being one of the first. If there's anything I can do to help, hit like, hit subscribe. If there's other pieces of content you want me to make, please do that, and it would really help out the channel. Thanks. I'll see you soon.